Can I have you to say the thing?
You can take it from any of my videos. Come on, you can't make me do it live. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Well, my name's Uplink Podcast. How are you?
Okay, that works. Well, I'm Azzatru. How are you?
Great. Look at us.
Welcome to Uplink.
I had to, man. I had to.
It's okay.
It's one of my favorite memes. Period. Period.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
Excellent. Dude, it's been forever. Let's talk about Lego Star Wars and the sad news that we've got and kind of what that means for the future of Star Wars games and what we have to look forward to and what are we expecting.
Well, I'm so excited for Lego Star Wars.
I mean, same. It's the dream Lego Star Wars game. And I know there are people out there that are like, oh, Lego Star Wars, what the heck's going on with that? I want a gritty, as gritty as possible Star Wars experience. But no, I'm super pumped. The Lego Star Wars series is one of the things that got me into Star Wars gaming, period. Like a lot of people in the community, I think
It got me into Star
that.
Wars.
Exactly, yeah. It's a huge thing for so many people, whether like yourself getting into Star Wars or getting into Star Wars gaming, it's a huge franchise, and the expectations that we have for the game are just so huge. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to in Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga?
For me, it's the open world aspect of it, and there's so many hub worlds that instead of just being limited to one, for me, probably Coruscant is the thing
same.
I'm most excited for.
Give me Coruscant.
Seeing how that, I know, that's what I'm really excited for. That one clip Mace Windu in the trailer made me so excited. And then playing through 8, but more so 9. I'm so excited to play 9.
Yeah. Well, there's so many worlds to explore. It's not surprising that the game got delayed. For those of you who aren't keeping up to date, the Lego Star Wars video game franchise news, the game was originally intended to come out in October of 2020, right?
Well, that was what the Star Wars YouTube channel said, and then pulled it an hour later. It was never actually officially confirmed.
Okay. That was what they were hoping to get, but was never actually said.
I think that was probably the time. It was just never publicly officially announced. And then, then they said spring, definitely. That was the first official, actual time frame other than 2020. And then it was going to be spring 2021. And now it's indefinitely delayed, so I have no idea at this moment.
If you've been keeping up to date, if you're subscribed, and you should be subscribed to Azzatru, keeping up to date with your channel and the whole world on that front, it's not really surprising. We haven't really gotten a whole lot of information or teases or anything like that. So it was getting to the point, if it was going to come out in spring, we would have seen something earlier. We would start seeing more teases. So it's not really surprising. And it seems to me, just from an outsider's perspective, Traveler's Tales is one of those, it's a cultural based, the culture of the office based gaming company. It's really one of those companies where they were in the office and it was fostering a world of you're gonna come in here, we're gonna have a community and a family, we're gonna work on games together. And it seems to me that they got hit really hard when it was pushed to work from home. And as a lot of people, a lot of game industries, we've seen several of them get delayed. A bunch from Warner Brothers, and it's just a lot of resources to push to work from home. And the scale of that game is so huge. What are we up to now in terms of how many characters that they're going to have?
Well, they've said there's 800 in-game, but it's been a bit there's a lot of miscommunication. I think one of the developers said there's at least 300 of them playable. The rest are just different variations or NPCs.
Okay.
But there's definitely 800, including playable and NPCs. That's and the base number. Maybe that will go up now. It's been delayed even longer. I don't know. They're actually working on another game at this moment in time as well. They've launched a bunch of job listings to spin up a new game.
Interesting.
So it's definitely not like they're all focused on this. It seems like people have finished up work on this game already, and they're on to the next one, whatever that will be. I think it's got some there was a bunch of multiplayer job listings. I think something like that. So,
so putting on my conspiracy tinfoil hat here. You ready to go deep?
Go on.
I didn't know that, but my first reaction to that is they've got the majority of the game ready, which you would be surprised if they didn't. It's polishing it up.
Considering it was meant to be out at the end of last fall, and then at least out any week now. Like,
exactly.
I do think it's probably quite feature complete, I would say.
Yes, so they're polishing it up. They're probably working on the DLC structure. Refresh my memory. We are getting DLCs for this?
It's not been confirmed. Like, I know the Force Awakens game had like some expansion packs, like some levels and stuff, but they've not actually announced anything other than there's 6 DLC skin packs that will be out if you get the collector's edition.
Okay.
That's it.
So there's a somewhat of a precedent there, but they've got the game, like you said, pretty much feature ready. You would assume we've got a lot of the stuff lined up. I would imagine what they're doing is they're waiting for proper time, because historically summertime is a bad time to release a game. Historically, this was before COVID. Everything in COVID times is like, I was talking to a friend of mine who owns like a dinosaur museum type thing. He's like, well, one weekend we had the biggest opening weekend in our entire history. The next weekend was the slowest weekend in our entire history. And then the week after that was another opening weekend for the records. It's like, if just because something was slow or quick and big before COVID times doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the same thing now. So who knows? But that could definitely be a part of it.
Yeah, it's like LEGO games don't really there's no consistent time. Like the Force Awakens game came out in like June. Some of them came out before June. Some came out in the autumn. Like, I haven't kept up with like anything of them, like the Star Wars stuff they've done. But it's not like they come out like at the end of each year, like most games. So who knows? Even like the release dates, usually it's a Friday for most games, but some LEGO games have released on like random days in the week.
They're just doing what they're doing, man.
Honestly,
they're just enjoying life, releasing games when they want to.
I'm sure Warner Brothers have got a scientific strategy.
They roll a dice and say, "Hey, let's do this." So we've talked a bit about the world of the delays. Just one thing before we get out of that and talk about what we're excited for in the game, what we want to see in the game. Do you have any concerns of the game turning into a cyberpunk situation? We have a precedent of a game that's been in development for quite some time. It was announced 2012, but rumors and leaks said they didn't actually start working on it until like 2016, 2017. So a game that was announced, had quite a bit of time, was delayed, huge scope. Could you see there being any issues with expectations being too high?
I think with a lot of games like this, when there's a lot of hype as soon as it's announced, it's never going to meet expectations to some people, even if it's like a very good game. People got to play the demo of it at E3 2019. It was playable, and there was plenty of things in that demo. So it's not like they announced it and didn't start working on it, because it was literally in a playable state back almost 2 years ago now. I guess before COVID it was probably going to be out. I don't think it was a cyberpunk situation. I think a lot of people are just comparing that to it because it's the biggest recent failure, but it's not the same scope.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big game, but it's not in the same scope, or they haven't lied to us yet. And, like, I know, like, they could be lying, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt. And, like, people was literally playing the game. It wasn't, like, some fake demo.
We get the game, and there's only 2 characters, and they're both Jar Jar.
Like, Lego obviously would, you know, they're notorious for being hard to work with sometimes. I'm sure they would have a say in stuff, so...
Lego and Lucasfilm.
Yeah, exactly. People forget Lucasfilm obviously do work on the game to an extent, so I don't think it's going to be like, it's going to come out and it's going to be completely broken, like some people seem to think it will be. I just think that people's expectations, it's like going to be this, the greatest ever Star Wars game to their expectations. Like, everyone's got a different perception of what makes, what would make the game good or be great to them, so I think it'll be great, but I think people should just be like, you know, wait till there's, I don't know, if they do release a demo, or wait until there's more gameplay or something to see what it's like.
Yeah, and like with anything Star Wars, anything gaming, you really have to set those expectations. There's a lot of people working on the game. There's a lot of moving parts, and you have to keep those in check for your sake, for the developers' sake. We are in unprecedented times, as all of the advertisements say. But we've got a huge scope of a game coming out. It's going to be, expectations are set. People are going to expect one thing, whether it's that or something else. Like, I was talking to someone who was really disappointed in Fallen Order, and that game's incredible. It's like, I was expecting something else. And like, I was like, okay,
I know people that don't like Fallen Order, so...
Which, from my perspective, is kind of strange, but also it's like, okay, yeah, if you're not a multiplayer shooter guy, I can see that. Because that's not a multiplayer shooter.
Some people I know didn't like the story one bit. Personally, I liked it. It was different to what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then you have some Battlefront players that reject anything that isn't Battlefront. Even if it's good.
I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't heard any of that around Squadrons.
Look at Star
or
Wars
anything.
Squadron. Oh god, yeah. I still get comments on my videos like, I can't believe they scrapped Battlefront 2 and 3 for this. It's like, no,
What? Like,
yeah,
where did
people
you see
still
that
think
person?
People still think Battlefront 2 was scrapped, live service-wise, for Squadrons. Still. No matter what you tell them.
Yep. Again, that gets into that expectation side of things. A question for you on the future scope of Star Wars games. Where do you see the future of Star Wars games going? We're in a dry spot. We're in the dark times again, where you have no idea what's coming. We have delays left and right. There was the announcements earlier in the year about the new Lucasfilm Games rebrand and refocus. We've got the open world Star Wars game with Ubisoft. We've got all of these different things in the works. We're in the dark period right now with nothing on the horizon for like EA stuff specifically. But where do you see the future of these games going? Like, we've got Lego Star Wars that's going to be coming out at some point in the future. Where do you see that standing side by side with something like Squadrons, Fallen Order, and Battlefront?
Well, I think it's probably sort of similar situation to what Microsoft's going through with like their first party games, because people forget it takes so long to make games.
Yeah.
So although it's quiet now, it's not like they're not working on anything. I'm sure there is a bunch of studios working on stuff, but we're just not going to see them for 2 to 3 years because they literally take that long. Like Fallen Order, even though it wasn't a Star Wars game to start with, the whole development process was like 5 years. Technically 3 when it was like Star Wars, but it was still 5 years. We've just gotta wait this year out. I know like last year didn't bring a whole bunch of them like Squadrons, but it's gonna be a quiet one. But maybe next year won't be.
Yeah.
Maybe there's gonna be a ton. Like maybe we'll be getting to a point where in 1 year there's gonna be like 3 or 4 big ones. I don't know.
Could you imagine?
I'm just, yeah. I mean, I don't know how close that is going to be, but it seems like Lucasfilm want to go down that way because they're like making those big statements like how committed they are and this, that, and the other. Like they're making an Indiana Jones game, so
which
and
blows
that's
my
going to
mind.
be awesome. I cannot wait for that.
Same here.
I think we'll be fine. I think that we're just going to get through this year.
Your comparison to Xbox is probably the best I've heard on the topic of this, because you're 100% correct. You have Xbox and Microsoft nailing down a focus for Xbox first-party games. They have more first-party studios now than PlayStation does. But PlayStation has been working on those for years, so obviously we're going to get more consistent exclusivities and games from them because they have that pipeline built up. Like,
it's not like those games, like, you know, the God of War's, Last of Us games, all of those games, Ghost of Tsushima, things like that, they have taken years to make. There was just, the seeds were planted a long time ago, and we've got them now. And that's what Microsoft's been doing for the past few years, is where, like, they've built their own studios, they've purchased studios, and they're now in pre-production, or middle of production, of big games. It's just that they're going to take 2 to 4, 5 years, like the initiative, right? They're the main one because they're a brand new studio and they're making Perfect Dark, the reboot, right?
yeah.
That's been in development, like pre-production, what, 2-3 years, something like that. So I'm not saying all Star Wars games are going to be like that, but look at the open world game. People, just because I think announcing it was probably a good thing, but at the same time, it's sort of, even though they've sort of been saying how it's not going to be around for quite some time, people seem to think we're going to hear more about it, like a lot more about it, and see gameplay or something like this year, late this year or next year, when it definitely sounds like it's a lot further away than people think. And COVID also, we haven't taken that into account with that game because it's so early on.
And I was talking to I think it was Sammy Boy, and we were saying, I think it was Sammy Boy. We were talking about how the scope of announcements for gaming in general has gotten like closer and closer to the release date each time. We have big studios deciding, oh hey, we're gonna wait until 3 months until we want the game to come out to announce anything. And again, we're seeing that as a trend throughout the whole industry, and I could see that definitely being the case with Star Wars. There's so much expectations.
It's possible. I mean, there's no celebration this year. People forget that. The next celebration is not until next August. So, other than, like, I know they could announce it, like, announce games not at Celebration. I know Star Wars Hunters is an example, but I'm talking, like, AAA console games, right? Other than EA Play or E3, depending what publisher's working on it, Celebration is like where they would like to announce stuff typically. I know it's obviously a little bit later in the year next year, so things could be announced earlier and then get a different bit of marketing at Celebration, but
Yeah.
they're not just going to drop it on like a Tuesday afternoon like some companies do. Like it's Star Wars.
Well, they're not like waking up, you know what? Yeah, 2:30, waking up super late in the day. You know what? I'm just gonna...
They're not Rockstar with the Red Dead.
Exactly.
Like, that is a masterclass, but that worked because of their situation. Like, you have to save the Star Wars games for Star Wars Celebration.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a huge engine. It's a huge ship to turn. They have a lot of moving parts. It's no longer the scrappy game or movie studio that started in the 70s. Like, it is a huge behemoth, and they're still working on a lot of different things in terms of how they make games and how Lucasfilm is involved and how, because there's been a lot of leaks and rumors about how difficult Lucasfilm has been in certain situations, working together along those teams. So it's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people to deal with. So hopefully we see something soon. EA Play, maybe.
It's like Star Wars Hunters. People forget that was... Well, they announced Zynga was working on games in 2018, mid 2018. So let's say this, just for example, the game comes out in 2021 summer. If they start pre-production towards the end of like fall of 2018, Star Wars Hunters will have been in development like 3 years almost, and that's a mobile game,
yeah,
Switch game.
Crazy the
That's a
timeline
long
of
time.
that. There's a lot of things to happen. I think Lucasfilm has seen the reaction of EA with their canceling of Star Wars games as well, and how visually and how people react to that when they see, oh, they're canceling another Star Wars game. So I think they want to keep that as close-knit as possible, because historically they have a bad track record of announcing Star Wars games and canceling them, even before Disney bought them, with stuff like 1313. There's a few shooters. There's quite a bit of games that were in that same situation.
Yeah, and there's probably even more that we don't know about. But that's not just for Star Wars, but like for any franchise or
Exactly.
any studio. Like, so many developers have come out and said, like, yeah, these cancellations aren't a surprise because typically there is more in our own studios that aren't as big, don't have as much money, and on a licensed IP that literally gets shut down, and you'll, after 4 years of development, you'll never hear about them because no one's bothered at that point. So it's not like people just seem to think it's EA and Star Wars. Obviously, they should have done better, and there's been a lot of mistakes made, but it's not like exclusive just to Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. It's just how visually, how big it is. It's easy to see those. But like you talk to like an indie developer, and they're like, oh yeah, I put together 3 different games before the 4th one came out, and that's just how it works. It's gonna be very, very fascinating to see the future of Star Wars games and how they move forward. I don't think we're going to see a Star Wars game going forward that does all, because that's what Battlefront 2 tried to do, and it stumbled. Big things that could be seen as small as they're trying to put all these pieces together come out and they get shipped. Stuff like the microtransactions, even though they weren't in launch, and there's a whole debacle with a lack of understanding of how they were implemented. It was huge. Changed the whole scope of Star Wars and regular gaming.
It's still being used today about loot boxes. Like, there's
Exactly.
still being, like, media literally just using it as like the picture for all the loot box articles.
Which is crazy. Like, I was talking to someone a month ago. They came up to me. I was telling them I do this podcast, and Star Wars Battlefront? That game sucks. It has all these microtransactions. Like, no, it doesn't. They weren't even there at launch. It was a lot of just miscommunication in the press and blah, 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 blah. Well, I haven't even played it, so I don't even know. So exactly.
Yeah. Literally. I mean, there are so many games out there, more popular games that people love, that, like, Overwatch. I know some people have been using that as an example, but, like, still. Like, Activision just gets away with it.
Yeah. There's a lot of different standards for different companies, and Overwatch does something similar and still does it even after all of that. It's crazy how these all work. But we've talked about Star Wars gaming. We've talked about Lego Star Wars. Now, I am going to list off some Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga characters, and I'd like you to give me a rating. Let's do out of 10. Rate them out of studs. 1 stud is terrible. 10 studs is amazing.
Okay.
So start off strong. We mentioned it earlier. Indiana Jones. What is your rating?
He's got to be a 10. 10 studs.
I'm right there with you.
True Jedi.
Exactly. I mean, the
It's
Force
just,
is no
like,
stronger.
So
than...
cool. It was so cool to have.
I remember first getting him and unlocking him, and like my mind was blown. I was like, yes, that's so awesome. Moving on. Han Solo, Frozen, and Carbonite.
Oh, that's got to be an 8 or 9 studs. Like, come on, like it's especially the like because it's just a block.
Yes.
It's literally just a bendy block.
It's so good.
I don't know how they're gonna do the new one because it's an actual like mold. And but yeah, that's funny.
It was so good. Next off, Princess Leia with the Bouche outfit.
I mean, the mold of the helmet's cool, and the machine, like the bounty hunter machine that you could push, like you pull the lever and it puts it on your head. I guess 6.
Okay, Dexter Jetster.
He's got 4 arms, and he looks cool. 8.
Yep, 2 points for each arm. The Droideka.
Oh, there's been so many iterations of that one. There is like one of the older ones that I really prefer compared to like a lot of the newer ones.
Yep.
I'm just gonna say the best one because it's cool. It's a cool design. 9 out of 10.
Okay. Plo Koon.
I don't really care. Like, is it a Lego figure? Like, 4.
Okay. Ki-Adi Mundi.
That head.
I know.
He's also annoying. So 4.
I mean, if it was just him as like a character, or like a Lego character, pretty high up there. Like the
okay, the head's
design's
cool.
pretty
I guess.
cool. But like once you start bringing into his actual character in the show, in the movies, it's it takes off a lot of points. Let's do a quick round here.
Go for it.
Tusken Raider.
New one or old one?
Old one.
3.
Jawa.
4.
The Sand Trooper.
5.
What about the Imperial Spy?
Oh, 9.
My personal favorite. The Beach Trooper.
I'll give that a 7 just because it's funny.
A 7? I give it 11 out of 10.
Oh. I never really got the joke when I was
No?
like, a kid. Like,
Oh my gosh, I loved it.
It's whatever, it's a stormtrooper.
I remember playing around, joking many years ago with Battlefront 2015 and how I really wanted them to release a
skin,
Beach Trooper for Battlefront. I even like mocked up with one of the models from PUBG and then put a stormtrooper helmet on him.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go through the ghosts.
Oh yeah.
Ben Kenobi, his ghost.
8.
Anakin Skywalker.
8.
Yoda.
10. 100%.
Yep.
Ghost Yoda.
I mean, how could you not? How could you not?
I know, I don't know why, but like, I don't know why, but I used to play as him more than regular Yoda.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. Do you remember in the first Lego game where Yoda had his little like floaty thing, his floaty chair?
Ship, yes, yeah, floaty chair, yeah.
So good. So good. And finally, what do you give the Geonosian?
Ooh, I like the wings.
Same.
I like the wings. 8.
Excellent. And just for fun, Jar Jar Binks.
9.
Yep. I mean, the jumping, so useful.
Yes, he's big. Exactly. I would pick him a lot.
Same here. Over like something like a Jedi sometimes, especially on that first map. So there we go. There's Azzatru's rating of some of the Lego Star Wars characters.
Controversial, I know.
Controversial.
Like that. They'll complain. It's always a thing.
It's a big controversy. You're gonna see it trending on Twitter later.
Barely any of them are low rated, and like 2 of the Jedis, which aren't as interesting as the others.
Yeah. So controversial. We're gonna see it trending on Twitter later. As a true Lego, that's gonna be trending on Twitter later.
No.
Excellent, dude. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has been a blast. Always fun. Need to make sure we have you on again before like another couple years passes.
And before Lego Star Wars releases.
Yes.
That will be.
Which we have some time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's going to release in the next few months, so...
This is a blast, man. Look forward to it, and we'll have you on when the game actually releases. I'm thinking maybe we'll get a bunch of content creators on the podcast, and we'll hash it out and talk about the game once it's out.
That'd be cool.
So, looking forward to it. Thanks again. Links to Azzatru's YouTube channel and Twitter account will be in the description. So, definitely check his stuff out, and... stay tuned for those for the weekly mod series, right?
Thank you very much.